One, it doesn't come on right away, so I keep on getting cut off. So this is why I'm holding off saying anything of value until such time that we're on.
You should do like pauses in audio. You should like leave time for like editing and stuff. You should be like, okay, ready? Let's go.
Okay.
And we're in the rotation.
Wow, that's pretty good.
You like it?
We-
It's inspired by my friend
well,
Gary Stein.
we rode out the storm, and we are the riders on the storm. Is that a copyright thing?
I don't know.
All right.
Just say what it is.
Okay. Well, it is time to jump into the rotation. We are so
I also forgot to hit record on the board. So.
okay. Well, hopefully the audio is coming through fine today.
Yeah, the audio is fine.
Hopefully we'll have some good trolls coming on and shouting epithets at us. So we can go ahead and respond to it.
Yeah, I'd like that.
Because we are raring to go. I mean, we have been hardened by the storm. Right?
Put the chat overlay on.
There you go. Yeah, we have been hardened by the storm. For those of you who don't know, we had a little rain this week.
Yeah, there's and wind.
Yeah. So this guy named Ian, I guess is like Scottish or Irish or something like that. Anyways, he came by and brought his friend Serge, and Serge just kind of like wiped out Fort Myers, and our prayers go out to all the good folks over there and Sanibel Island and all the other islands that got
Yeah, which is crazy.
a lot of damage.
Even though in Tampa really like we prepared and everything, but we went through all this preparation. We didn't see that much damage here. We really didn't.
Yeah,
But like an hour away, there's like cities completely wiped out and underwater.
yeah. I was thinking to myself, I broke my back getting those goddamn sandbags put together for the front and back of the house, and then the storm, it shakes our windows for 27 28 hours with about 60-mile-an-hour winds and constant rain, but all I lost was like 10 shingles and all of the downspouts for the house, and had some garbage to pick up on the lawn, but I was okay. But for a while I was sitting there saying, damn, I just spent so much time preparing for this. I have an entire house full of bread and water. Because I had to go to Walmart and follow the throng. I don't know what it is about hurricanes that bring out the need for bread and water.
I have a freezer full of water bottles, frozen water bottles right now.
And I consider myself a Floridian since I've been here about 15 years now. And I still have yet to figure out what people do with just bread and water. I mean, they don't even buy the peanut butter to put on the bread. So do they put the bread in the water and they just make a paste that they eat, over time?
They might have like deli meats or something. I don't know. I don't know what people do.
Yeah, at least it's a vegetarian thing, bread and water, right?
Well, I don't know. Maybe that's like I don't know. That's so weird that people buy bread because that shit goes bad so quickly.
Yeah, but if if people get religious when these hurricanes come around, maybe they should be buying loaves and fishes.
Maybe they should be buying, like, you know what I did? I went to the produce section of my grocery store and I bought plenty of fruits and vegetables that were filled with nutrients that helped me get through my time.
Now, you might wonder what the topic of our discussion is today. and it's you might be wondering.
I don't think we know.
No, we don't know exactly at all. But the fact is, I think we should probably just at least introduce ourselves. My name is Gary Stein. I'm the political director of Suncoast Numbing.
Loud.
No, that's pretty good. And also the master of public health. And to my right, your left, is Carlos Jose Angel Armida of Caribbean heritage, but now of a true Floridian because he's weathered quite a few storms in his lifetime. In fact, you were at Andrew, weren't you?
I was at Andrew. We just moved into our new house in Fort Lauderdale during Andrew. And like our old house got destroyed.
What fantastic timing.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I remember a friend of mine had a boat ended up on top of Coconut Grove Mall.
Really?
I don't know how it got there, but boy, was it hard getting it down.
Yeah, man. I mean, like the hurricanes in Florida are interesting to me, just like how people prepare for the hurricane. So like, I mean, yeah, like you get bread and water and all that stuff, but like here at Chillin, we had like a lot of people buying pipes and whatnot. And quite honestly, the first thing I did to prepare for the hurricane, I went over to Move, I bought a bunch of RSO and a bunch of concentrates, a bunch of dabs, and then I got some mushroom gummies from here, and I rode out the storm.
Now they didn't have storm sales 5 years ago when Irma came by. In fact, we were very much a fledgling industry 5 years ago when Irma came by, and there were people wondering, "Gee, I wonder if any of the MMTCs are going to have their entire crop blown away."
Their warehouse might receive some damage. I doubt their crop will blow away. Are we
Well,
growing outside now
I
in
mean,
Florida?
if you are one of those dispensaries that decides that you want to grow in hoop houses,
Uh huh.
those hoop houses don't really survive storms very well.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
I thought everybody grew in warehouses here. They grow in hoop houses. You're
yeah,
allowed to grow like basically outside in Florida.
yeah, that it does happen in certain circumstances. Yes,
Huh.
I'm not going to say exactly which ones they are because they know who they are.
Huh.
You know who you are.
Is that a bad thing?
Well, let's just put it this way. Let's hope that their entire crop was not blown away.
Yeah, I hope not either.
I mean, blown away in a bad way.
Hmm.
That's a situation. But I haven't heard anything about anybody losing any major crops.
I mean,
And there are a lot of the grows that are on the West Coast, in
and
Orlando
like
area and Davenport and that whole area around there. That not Davenport, but Daytona Beach.
you got me thinking about like drug dealers and how busy drug dealers were before the storm 5 years ago, and how they're not as busy now.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, you used to have a corner plug in almost every city. That's the way it basically was. And the question is that stuff safe? Is it
It
safe
was
from the
all you
storm?
had at one point.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it's imported from California, but we still have a lot of issues with products that are, let's just say, adulterated because certain people don't care.
Hmm.
I'm not saying that everybody in the legacy market is that way. There's a lot of people in the legacy market who put a lot of love and care into their product,
Mhm.
who just can't get into the legal market because we have a slight licensing problem here in Florida that kind of prevents people from being able to get licenses unless they're fucking millionaires. I'm putting it nicely.
Or we're friends with the right people in 2014. Like, they haven't given out a license since, right?
Oh yeah, I mean there are some licenses that were basically doled out in smoky back rooms,
Yeah.
uh, as it were. But other people worked very very hard and got their licenses by a judge giving it to them instead of the state. And that may happen again with the Chillum, with the Chillum, with the Pigford license. Yeah, you want a license, don't you?
I do want a license, but I'm like no
There
way I'm
is,
going to get a license anytime
there
soon.
is no Chillum license yet, but as
No.
far as the Pigford license is concerned, the applications went out in March. They had 12 solid applications, and after how many months was that? 8 months,
Mm.
5 months. They finally awarded it to a gentleman named Gwynn over in the Panhandle, but it was only an agreement memorandum kind of situation because there is litigation going on. In fact, almost everybody who did not get a license out of those dozen is filing complaints about the process.
Yeah.
And one of the things we wanted to do today, that was plan A for today's show, was to have folks on who were in the thick of it and who give us a little bit more insight as to what was going on with the minority license. I mean, they might just go ahead and say, well, we already have a minority license. We got cookies. God bless you guys.
Well, so
That's not a minority license. Not in the social equity aspect. I'm not saying that Berner is not good at doing social equity. He does do good things for the communities that he works, that his company works in, but it's not a social equity license in and of itself. But you know, Berner, you're welcome to come on and discuss this. We've been trying to get you on for a while. I've been talking to a couple of your peeps, and you haven't come on yet, but we're working on
maybe
that.
because you call them peeps.
Yeah, and Jungle Boys
No,
too. We would like to have you guys on. Let's come on and have a discussion.
So let's take a moment here. The whole Pickford license.
Yeah.
So there's a place in front of my house, like across the street from my house, called the Pickford Exchange.
Don't they sell ceramic plates of Rockwell paintings or something?
They have nothing to do with cannabis. But the Pickford license for any of our viewers or listeners that don't know is the state's attempt to make sure that minorities are involved in the cannabis industry here, and it's becoming very racist. It's becoming extremely racist.
I don't
Right.
think I don't think it's becoming racist.
And we
I
well
think it
we
started that way.
we were talking about it like when we first came up. We've been talking about it as being like tokenism. Like I remember you saying it quite a bit. Like this is just tokenism. We just want one black
I've got a lot
guy
of,
there in the corner selling weed, growing weed, right? And that's it. But they didn't even give it out. And then I forget I'm so bad with names, but I forget the company that was supposed to come on today. They participated in our business event, but they're supposedly going to be awarded or close to being awarded the Pickford license. Um,
Gwen is the guy who's going to be getting the license. Black Mule.
yeah, Black Mule.
They did not win.
They didn't win.
They didn't win.
Oh,
However, thanks to the good work of Senator Darrell Roussan, who was also supposed to come on today, but is rather busy because his district also got hit by the storm. And so he's got to go out there and take care of his constituents. So we fully understand that. And fuck you, Ian.
so so this Pickford license, right?
Pigford, yes.
Pigford.
Pigford. Yes.
Oh, so this has nothing to do with the Pickford exchange in front of my.
Not at all. Well, it does if you spell it wrong.
But no, this is a big outrage because I mean, even though for the people that were given this license, right, they had to pay like astronomical amounts of money.
Yes.
Right. Like I think it's like even 3 times now what the original licensees had to pay.
Well, the license fee itself was about double.
It was double.
But the amount of money you have got to put into getting that license application put together is phenomenal, and you have to have a performance bond, still of $5 million in your back pocket, and have great financial, solid ones that they can look at and know that you're not going to go under during the first couple months.
So the Pickford Exchange license, I said it right that time.
That's fine.
The Pickford Exchange license. Or the Pickford license. God damn it. What the hell's going on? I didn't smoke enough this morning. I didn't even take RSO. This is what I'm like when I haven't taken RSO. But
a disjointed brain is a terrible thing to waste.
That license, right, started off racist, and now it's just like crazy racist. Like it started off tokenism, but now it's like now we're going to make the token pay way more than what they're supposed to.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like what they're trying to do with our voting systems here in Florida also. Taking away boxes for dropping your ballot off and things of that sort. Always make it harder on people, especially people of color. That is what is happening here in Florida, and it doesn't seem to want to stop.
Well, it all started with making it harder for the amendment.
I mean, they just found another forgotten graveyard. What was it, under a mall in Clearwater?
Really?
All of these these black cemeteries of the earlier part of the 20th century were literally concreted over, and they built on top of them. Yeah. They built schools on top of them. They built all sorts of things on top of them, so they would be forgotten. Little did they realize that there is such a thing called infrared photography that would be able to find those cemeteries. And now we got to break up the buildings or whatever and get those bodies out of there because they don't deserve that.
And it's like Central Ave in Tampa. Central Ave in St. Pete is a completely different thing. It's like the heart.
Oh, Central Avenue in St. Pete is like an art mecca.
Central Ave in Tampa right now just has like a park and some like really nice apartments that are like, half leased out there.
But
and yeah, apparently that was like where the black community lived, like right outside of Ybor City. And it completely destroyed that area just because they wanted to build a highway.
Florida has its problems.
Yeah.
In regards to race, and that is I think in part one of the reasons why our dear governor decided to go ahead and try to toy with our educational system and say, well, we can't discuss anything that would make people feel uncomfortable. And by that, he means he wants to rewrite the history books and just snip out the parts that he doesn't want to talk about.
Right.
Like, for instance, the racist past of Florida. I mean, I thought it was actually even worse than it was because I thought that, when they used the word cracker, that believe it or not, the word cracker is a legitimate Florida historical term of the guy who used to herd cattle and used to use a whip, which of course would make a cracking sound when he cracked it to get the bulls all running in the right direction, and so that was a cracker.
And that's why we all eat at Cracker Barrel.
I don't do it for the food, I'll tell you that.
I like the hash brown casserole.
Hash brown casserole.
But no, the I've been to the cracker school up in St. Augustine in the cracker area and all that. I know about the Florida cracker stuff.
Yeah, I mean, we have our state fair has this little historical area called Cracker Town. And that's what it is. But what we were actually getting at here is the fact that people of color who are trying to get these minority license, people who were impacted by the war on drugs, deserve a chance to get into this market, and we're making it practically impossible. But there are problems with the social equity licenses throughout the state of Florida, and also throughout the country too. And I know there's issues in Chicago and Michigan and things of that sort with how they're doling out those minority licenses. And there is a former state congressman in Pennsylvania who's actually working with Black farmers and other folks to get into the industry. And Chris Cano, who is not here today because what was left of Ian knocked out his power. Once again, fuck you, Ian. But we have him in recorded form interviewing this gentleman who will go ahead and introduce and tell about what he was doing to help minority. Okay, there we go.
We are live here at the New Leaders Council Convention in Philadelphia. Hope everybody's having a great weekend. I'm your executive director, of course, and host, Christopher Cano, and we are here with Tony Payton. Tony, tell us a little bit about yourself and what brings you here to the convention.
So I'm here at the NLC convention because I helped found the NLC chapter in Philadelphia, and was just on a panel speaking about cannabis and social justice, and I've been in cannabis pretty intently for the last 5 years. Helped a couple of folks win licenses here in Pennsylvania. Have been part of application teams in the States. Won licenses in Jersey, Connecticut now, and Australia.
Wow. So tell us a little bit about, here in Pennsylvania, is it going to be going to adult use anytime soon? How's that looking with the neighboring states like New York and Jersey going adult use?
So, logically, it should happen sooner than later, but there's a lot of politics involved. We'll see what happens politically. So we've got a Republican-controlled both the state house and state senate.
Oh, we know how that is in Florida.
Yeah, right now we have a Democratic governor. We're in the middle of a gubernatorial election, so we'll see what happens over the next. It's not going to happen this year, obviously, but we'll see what happens next year. There's an outside chance. There's been a number of bills floated for the last few years, but nothing's passed yet. But you would think Pennsylvania would want to catch up to their neighbors.
Sure. Now, in regards to social justice, I know Philadelphia recently, had some policy changes around decriminalization. So what's kind of the status here in the city of Berkeley Love?
So Philly decriminalized cannabis, and a number of other municipalities around the state are moving to decriminalize. At the state level, we got a bunch of inactions. Not much is happening, so a lot of people are going across the bridge to Jersey to purchase, but also to go and pursue licenses. Sure. And New Jersey right now has the best regs for the little guy.
Interesting. I noticed Jersey, took a trip up there not too long ago. It seemed like there's not a lot of producers at the moment. I mean, I saw Botman, I saw Curaleaf, so there's the big ones. So the little guys, are they in the process of licensing? Is it just the paperwork hasn't gone through yet? Or when do you think we'll see more competition in the Jersey market?
Gotcha. So Jersey started accepting applications from everybody else December 15th of last year.
Okay.
They made their first awards in March. So they've been about a 90-day review period, and they've pushed out now 200 or so licenses.
Nice.
Right. There's been about
a lot better than 22 in Florida.
That's right. So they've pushed out a lot of licenses, and they've issued conditional licenses. Conditional license allows you to go and get your real estate, get your local approval, and then you've got 4 months to convert to an annual. So we've just submitted our annual conversion. So we'll have a final license, and then we still got to build a building and those kind of things. So it's going to take a bit for the other guys to kind of catch up. But the way the legislation was written, the existing medical providers got the first crack at the market. That's why you see the long lines at the dispensaries. There's only 13 that are approved to sell.
Yeah.
But there's also 12 licensees that have, that are come from the medical market that'll start growing and providing products.
Yeah, I noticed about Jersey. You're not lying by 5 o'clock. You're not getting your product by 7. The lines get long.
Yeah, I mean, so they've got product shortages. I mean, the demand far exceeds the supply.
Yeah.
At some point, that will even out as folks kind of convert and come online.
Do you think, judging the way cannabis is moving, that multi-state operators, these big corporations that we're seeing pop up and acquire licenses in multiple states, are they doing it the right way, or are they on the wrong track right now? Because from a consumer point of view, we consistently get reviews and patients telling us, "Oh, look, I got mold in my product, I got microplastics in my product, the product smells funny, there's bugs in them." And these are supposed to be the people who, according to the government, are going to be able to do it the right way. So, what do you think we need to do to get these big companies back on track?
I mean, I think the answer to your question is no, they're not doing it the right way. And it shows in the product, right? So what they're growing, people don't like, right? So they're turning people off from natural medicine. That's number one. And then number two, I think they've approached these markets, and they've been the biggest advocates of limited license markets, which I think you've got to be either afraid of competition, just a coward, or remarkably inept. Right, so in these limited license market, they look at who's got access to funds, and the way that they're constructed is they've got the biggest access to funds, which has given them a leg up in previous rounds. Now, some of these northeastern states are starting to kind of break that monopoly a little bit, which I think is a great thing, because you would put a lot more TLC into your product than somebody who's only worried about a bottom line.
Absolutely. And I think, we're noticing that in Florida too. Some of the people who work in the legal dispensaries, in the medical marijuana treatment centers, their workers are complaining, for not getting paid on time, having, especially growing in 100-degree heat and the humidity. And, it almost seems like there's almost a move to start unionizing staff, in various states who work in, the cannabis industry.
Yeah, the grow that I ran was unionized.
Oh.
So, I mean,
the
first piece of this, if you're going to do this, do it right and take care of your people.
Yeah.
If you take care of your people, they will then take pride in what they're doing and take care of the product. At the end of the day, if you don't put out a superior product, you're not doing justice by your consumers.
So, in the whole sphere of, as we still have people in jail for trying to pay their bills with weed money, and now we have multi-million and billion-dollar companies, making profits, and we even have the government collecting and paying their bills with weed money. Where does social justice and social equity fit into all this? Where's the opportunity for African Americans, Latinos, veterans to get into this market, not just have to be millionaires and billionaires to get into the legal market?
I think it should be the number one priority of any place that's going to open up the market, is that you should make sure, you should look at the history of this. realize what that is and what that's about, and try to figure out how you right some of those wrongs. And the best way to do that is by giving those folks a crack at this opportunity. And it should be top of mind for everybody in the industry. And that's kind of what we do. That's who we hire. And we've created kind of training programs to make sure that come work with us, learn the business. And then if you want to go do your own thing, we'll see you to do that, because it's just good business.
Awesome. So, what motivated you personally to step into this space? For a lot of folks, especially when they're involved in politics, stepping into a space where there's a gray area, it's not necessarily legal, we're fighting for criminal justice reform. There's a lot of other things people politically can do that are much more convenient and that is not so insurmountable. So, I know there's always got to be a personal motivation for folks to step into this. What was yours?
So, I think I fundamentally believe in the healing power of the plant. So it starts there, right? This is medicine, right? And, through my public service and anything that I've done in my past, it's always been about how do I help them? How do I help those people? And I think delivering consistent, safe medicine to people to consume is, I think, a higher calling, if you will, pun intended.
That's fantastic. So how can people support your mission, support your organization? Is there a website they can go to? Is there some place we can drive folks to?
Yeah, so the best way to kind of find and interact is, one of our websites is aspromisefarms.com. Farms.com. Okay, so y'all said check out aspromisefarms.com. We'll run a link. Yeah, or you can always reach me. I'm Tony Pate Jr. on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, any of those, Instagram. I'm by my name on any of those.
Well, Tony, it was awesome to meet you. It's just an honor to know that you're doing such big things, and also that we're NLC family. So happy to have you on the show.
NLC family, and the other piece about it is, I've had my own journey with the plant. So I got diagnosed with MS, and cannabis is a tremendous help.
My cousin's wife was diagnosed for 30 years. It was the only remedy that she had, and she found it. So I'm glad you got an opportunity to be in this space this time to get that access. Because 20 years ago, this is rough going for folks.
Yes, indeed.
Well, thanks so much. We appreciate you being on the show.
Thank you, bro. Sun Coast.
Yeah.
Well, that was fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
Be right place at the right time. I guess he was at a Democratic convention there, leadership convention over in Pennsylvania. And Pennsylvania is an interesting state. I mean, they have actually some very interesting political races. I know you're not into the political thing that much, but they've got a real circus going on.
I watched that show Always Sunny in Philadelphia, and that's a circus. So
it is
probably allows for that.
But the senator's race between John Fetterman, the former lieutenant governor, and Mehmet Oz, who doesn't even live in the state of Pennsylvania, but is running for Senate there, and they've been trading some barbs back and forth. It's been entertaining at the least. But I think also we need to be looking at the quality of the candidate. I think that Fetterman has a lot more grounding as far as government is concerned than Mehmet Oz does, who's more of a reality show star. And we know the dangers of having a reality show star as somebody who's involved in governance in any way, shape, or form.
You're talking about Trump, right?
Oh, I didn't want to say it out loud because people think that I'm anti-Trump, which of course I am. But I would want him coming knocking at my door.
It is really strange because I'm not gonna lie, man. I consider myself to be the most conservative of the three of us. I'm
that is shocking.
I typically am for free markets and the conservative ideas, but wait
a minute. Are you saying that people who are middle of the road, moderates, or liberals are not into free market?
No, well, I'm just saying that I typically don't want the government snooping around my stuff. I had to get my water heater. My water heater broke, so I had to get a new one. Right, had a new one installed. right, had to get inspected, and like I was like, I don't want the government going through my stuff. You know what I mean? Like that's the type of guy I am. Like I have my business here. I don't want my business bothered by regulations. I welcome regulations for the hemp industry and things like that because I'm a good boy and I fall in line. But I don't want regulations. I think this plant is the safest plant there ever is, right? I think we should have no regulations, no stops, no scare, no anything like that, right? And it's really weird to hear conservatives come at me and say you freaking liberal. Like it really is, because like I mean the truth is that if you vote conservative in Florida, you've voted against cannabis.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
essentially.
say that, like the Republican Party here in Florida is for big cannabis being in charge. If you vote Republican here in Florida, you're against cannabis. I'm gonna go ahead and say it. There you go.
Well, I mean, and yet there are people who are in the GOP that are very pro cannabis. We like Nancy Mace, who was on our show. I mean, she was
Well,
very much
I understand that you can be Republican and for cannabis reform, but this isn't a democracy. This is a democratic republic. We vote for our lawmakers, and our lawmakers in Florida, the Republicans, have been in charge, and they've fucked up the industry. They've completely fucked up the industry with regulations, and they've screwed everything up. Look at what's happening with the Pickford license. It's just this racist debacle. When we should have as many minorities as we can in this industry.
And there's a lot of interest in blaming the law enforcement. The fact is, law enforcement is there to do just that.
Yeah.
They're there to enforce the laws, and if you want things to change, you have to change the laws because otherwise they have to do their job. Give you a good example. 2015, a woman was going to inspect a house over in Manatee County that is currently being resold, and she sees a cord running from the house over to another house next door. And what was actually happening was that one particular person was cleaning the other house.
Oh, yeah.
And so he ran the cord over there, so go ahead and use the wet dry vac and all that kind of stuff.
Uh-huh.
And when the lady who was inspecting the house followed the cord, well, she came she came on the house of Kathy and Bob Jordan.
Oh.
Looked in the garage and saw the air conditioning unit and saw the little plants growing. And so, of course, she had to go ahead and contact the sheriff's office. And the house was essentially raided by guys wearing masks. And they broke the grow bulb. That was a major thing. And and took all the plants and were charging them, values of like $1,000 for seedlings and $3,000 or $4,000 for a plant above 12 inches, that kind of thing. Saying that they had like thousands and thousands of dollars of plants, and to be honest with you, they had practically nothing growing that was of any value at all at that point in time, anyway, other than for making clones and things of that sort.
Oh, that little, I don't know what you'd call that, a bust.
Yeah.
But that little bust started kind of the cannabis movement here in Florida. So that's a fortunate bust, I guess.
And what happened at the end of all that was that Bob was given the right to grow for Kathy with the medical exception.
Medical necessity.
Which did not protect her, it protected him, actually, as far as the cultivator is concerned and the caretaker is concerned. But she was still illegal at the time. Mm-hmm. And so we had to push forward. And I got to tell you, living in an age of legal cannabis is interesting. It's almost addicting. And I don't mean in regards to the product itself. I have found people who are addicted to the process of going out and buying something legally. That seems so thrilled. They can go ahead and buy legally, that they just go out and they say, I want some of that, I want some of that, and I want some of that, and I want some of that, because they can. Before, you used to have to go ahead and find your plug on the corner. And now it's like, oh, look, there's a sale, 40% off over at such and such. And I'm not going to name such and such because I don't like their product. But but there's sales out there, and people just grab them up. And some people are actually just overbuying. They have stuff that they can't consume as much as they bring in. Other folks, it's exactly the opposite. But the fact is, a lot of folks are just thrilled with the idea of just being able to go ahead and buy something legally. That
Yeah.
that there's a certain endorphin rush just for that itself.
Um, I remember the first time I bought cannabis in like a dispensary setting. I think it was called OCP, Oakland Cannabis Producer, or something like that.
Okay.
And it was such a dingy experience. It really was. It was like two glass cases, hardly anything in the cases, right? Some dude with like a eyebrow ring and all these tattoos. And he was like, just didn't know anything about the weed or anything like that, right? But I made my purchase. I remember like, and you know how weird it is for me to like talk about like God in a favorable light. But I made the purchase and I was like, God bless America. And I shook his hand and like ran out. And it was just like, so it was definitely a bit of a rush.
And I think for a lot of people it continues to be. For me, I can tell you for a fact that just being able to not worry about who knows who and who knows what and all that bit, that they can just walk into a place and say, yeah, I'd like to have three of this and two of that kind of situation.
Mm-hmm.
It is just refreshing and breathtaking, even if you can't smoke that much, because I don't smoke that much. But just the fact that I can actually go out and buy it, I think this is just fascinating. And some people will say, well, yeah, I'll go ahead and buy that ground stuff, even though it is actually off the ground. And I'm not pushing that one particular product or another, of course, because these people don't sponsor us. So I'm not going to placate anybody who wants me to go ahead.
But
And
hey,
buy the
it's
product
it's
unless they
affordable.
pay us, in which case we're considering that.
It's affordable though. If you want to purchase something affordable, do whatever you want.
Absolutely. And of course, you looked at that shop over in Oakland and said, "This is all the things that I'm not going to do when I open up my dispensary once upon a time."
Yeah, well, my glass cases are white.
Yeah, and so are your walls, and so is your attitude.
That's similar with those two places. I think I got somebody with an eyebrow ring working here.
Yeah, but the fact is, your store is bright and it's airy,
Yeah.
and it doesn't have that Apple store feel that people were saying. Hey, isn't it great that these MSOs look like Apple stores? I'm saying
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
I don't want it to look like a corporate boardroom.
Well, like Apple did such a good job branding their stores. I think that like people just started calling clean stores Apple stores. Like people have called this store an Apple store before, and it's just because it's clean.
I think they should at least have some shoes hanging from the ceiling.
Like from
Just to
power
give it,
lines.
just to give it a little edginess. Yeah, exactly right. Just to remind you where you came from.
Oh man, from Hialeah.
Oh, that's right. You're from Hialeah, right?
Oh yeah.
That's a great neighborhood.
Well,
A lot of stores made out of storage units.
well, there's a lot of storage units in Hialeah that are being used to grow cannabis.
Which you don't know anything about.
Don't know anything about. Hey, so fucking weed in Florida fucking sucks, man. I'm sorry. That's where we're at with this show. I'm just gonna go ahead and say it like that. If we're going to review what we were talking about, that Pickford license,
Yeah,
fucking blows. What are you doing on your phone?
I am actually talking to the communications director for our possibly future lieutenant governor, Carla Hernandez Metz. And because they will be coming back to us to do a session of La Rotación.
And I see Ryan's here. Ryan Morales is in the back end of the show. I think he wouldn't mind if I brought him on.
No, let's bring on Ryan because he doesn't know that's what's going to happen.
All right.
Hey guys, how you doing?
You weren't expecting to be on the show right now, so sorry about that. You're expecting more of a Spanish thing, but we're looking for content here.
It's all good. I'm gonna sit here and be like, why are you being a weed party pooper, huh? Why you gonna be like Florida weed sucks?
Well, the weed and
all that we got right now, we gotta appreciate it.
Well, we do have to appreciate it. Like, yeah, and Gary was bringing some good points up about like it's just great to be able to go into a store, but like shit should
But
be better. Shit
I
should be
mean, I
better.
agree. You know what? I went to Arizona
Uh-huh.
and I went to one of the stores there, and I was surprised of the way that they run their whole shop. I mean, the fact that I could get a joint covered in keef, basically with a sprinkle of some concentrate on it, and they sell you that, and you could buy that, and you could buy
Mhm.
moon rocks, and you could buy all these things that we can't buy here,
Mhm.
which to me sucks
I was
because you know.
just in Vegas, and Vegas, of course, is like the MSO capital of the U.S.
Mhm.
But I mean, weed's there, and it's available. There's stores that are open 24/7.
So
Yeah.
you went to Burning Man, huh? Is that the reason why you were over in Arizona? Just run
No,
around naked in the desert?
sadly enough, I was out there for campaign training to learn how to be a finance manager. Basically, figure out how to raise money for campaigns. But yeah, no. While I was out there, I decided to take a run to one of the dispensaries. I took an Uber out to the dispensary, had them wait for me and everything. But yeah, really interesting, just the way that they managed and ran the whole process, and just just the different variety of products and the level of there's no caps on THC, so it's, some of these joints were up to like 55%, compared to the 28 or 20% they usually get on average over here, but uh definitely better product. So
I'm hearing there's some interesting dispensaries over in Tempe and in a couple areas around there.
yeah, I was over in the Phoenix area, and it was I could say that I felt like I robbed the place. I spent $40 and I walked out of there with like 12 joints and like all this other stuff, and they're like, yeah, you could come back and do that again. They give you like the first 10 visits, you get like this massive discount. So I was like, man, I gotta come back. This is awesome.
Well,
Uh
I don't have the kind of dispensable income that a lot of folks have over here in Florida, and they say, "Yeah, we just went over to that dispensary. We spent $200 here, and we spent $100 there." It's like, where are you getting this money, dude?
yeah,
No
who knows?
offense, but I mean, I gotta pay the bills first.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. Some people do it here in Florida. And I mean, like I said, that was like I walked out with a bunch of product, and I was like, I felt like I robbed the place because Florida prices for some of this stuff is really high. What is it? An ounce on average, you're paying like almost $400.
Yeah.
Street prices, you're paying maybe half of that. So
Yeah, that's what I mean. It needs to get better. Like
correct.
that's really what
And
it
I
is.
and I agree, it does need to get better because we still have a black market because it still has not gotten better. But it's you're always going to have that. It's sad to say, but thankfully, like you guys said, it's now these clean stores, which I can't stand. I think it's I feel like I'm like, I don't need to be walking into Walgreens. I'm like, it just doesn't make any sense to me. But I guess that's kind of the way it's going. They're trying to make it look more medical, pharmaceutical kind of. Yeah, not
Well,
me.
you're so much into marketing. I'm still trying to figure out why CVS can't draw straight lines. When you go into a CVS, you got to go angled to the right or angled to the left. You can't go straight because you go straight, you walk right into a shelf. Because they
Yes.
decided to use a diagonal approach. I guess they were looking for a different feng shui or something of that sort. Did
Oh,
I
that's
pronounce that
funny.
right?
No,
Feng shui.
I don't know what you're talking.
I don't speak Cantonese.
What the hell is
Unfortunately.
CVS?
CVS?
I'm just playing. Is that a dispensary, man?
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what?
Actually, they
Soon
sell
to be. Soon
CBD
to
right by the front door.
Yeah, soon to be. They're gonna be next on the line to sell this
Yeah.
stuff.
I think it
Like,
was Cure Leaf. I think it had a whole display of CBD products they were selling through CVS's. But the problem was they were making claims on the boxes and on
oh
the
gosh.
displays that they could not fully flesh out. And so therefore the FDA came by and said, no, this ain't going to happen. And so
Oh
they
boy.
shut that whole line down and embarrassed the heck out of CVS, who, by the way, was one of the first pharmacy companies that decided they were no longer going to sell cigarettes at the front counter. So
Yeah, I remember that.
CVS.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember that. I give them props for that.
We got a few minutes here before Miss Mats comes on because she's doing a church thing today, which So are we.
Church,
But
church.
you
Good
had a
Lord.
chance to have a fantastic learning curve this last election session, and
Oof.
the question
Hey, I got
I'm asking,
420,000 votes, dude. That's awesome for the 420 team.
it is fantastic. I know that we're going to have to educate Mr. Simpson when he gets that, because it's pretty much a shoe in as far as that race is concerned. But is
Yep.
there a 1-to-1 correspondence between the amount of money that you can raise and your chance of winning?
There is. I mean, it's obvious that we need money to win these things, but it sucks because, Republicans are trained to basically donate, whereas Democrats do not donate to Democrats, and it's just sad. And really it is, because we need more people that care to help, because a lot of these campaigns can't function without any funding, and that was basically my issue. I didn't have enough funding to get the word out. If I would have had more funding to get the word out, I believe we definitely would have swept this up easily and then given Mr. Simpson a fair battle. It definitely would have been an uphill game too, but at the end of the day, it would have just been an obvious, decent battle. You know what I mean? Of somebody who actually cares and wants to do the right thing versus someone who's just trying to game the system. But Big Sugar gets what they get. They paid for it. They got what they I think they spent $500,000, probably a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, it all depends on what you're interested in. I was just told that the DeVos family of Western Michigan are putting millions and millions of dollars to try to knock Gretchen Whitmer out, which I don't see that happening because she's got like a 13-point lead right now. So,
No, God.
how much does it cost to change a 13-point lead for a
I would
state the size of Michigan?
I would probably say about 50 million.
I mean,
And
we have a governor's race right now, which is definitely by the dollars.
man, and he's got 150 million in his coffer for a race. That's just ridiculous amounts of money. Like, he could just shut down basically the airwaves if he wanted to with that amount of money and not have to do diddly squat.
Well, obviously, the way you get around that is, unfortunately, the way that Trump did it in 2016, become so loud that you get a lot of earned media, because one advantage to earned media is it's cheap.
Well, and that's exactly what this guy tries to do. That's Ron DeSantis's trying method. He's trying to do that. Let me do some parlor tricks so I could get as much press and media from it. But meanwhile, some of it is just completely backfiring on him, which we're very thankful.
Oh yeah, I mean, I don't know if you heard this joke that he said yesterday that is just beyond the pale. But Elon Musk, another person I don't like, has said that he wanted to donate to the DeSantis campaign, and so Ron, God bless him, said, I look forward to support from African Americans. And for those of you who don't know, Elon Musk is not Danish or whatever. He is actually South African. Yeah, from Johannesburg.
But he's not an African American because, yeah,
He's not. He's.
you could have just ended it at African.
I mean, I guess he is African American, but he's not black. There's nothing wrong with saying the word black.
Yeah. It's just it's just funny to me that I'm like, he would say, oh, from my African American friends. I'm like, you could have just stopped at African. My South
I
African.
remember Charlize Theron is like from South Africa, and she had like this SNL skit where she was like, I'm African American, and they're like, and all the black people on the show were like, no, you're not.
This is true. I remember that one. That's
yeah,
fun.
I mean, DeSantis, you're absolutely right. And Ryan, when you talk about his like earned media or whatever, like I often look to like people like Kanye West, when like Kanye West gets a lot of views because he's just fucking out there, and a lot of people that think he's crazy, right, push him out there. So I mean, in a way, like, it's like,
look, I was just dying because I just saw an article where they were like, he basically bedazzled a pair of chancletas and now is selling them for $9,000. Like, what the hell? And people are paying for this stuff too, like a bunch of pendejos. Like, come on, dude.
It's like, are we contributing to DeSantis campaign by like having a like this podcast is becoming like a big DeSantis hating podcast? I'm
And I
not gonna
hope not,
lie.
because I'm like,
Don't
I hope not, because
Like,
he's really not doing what he knows, what he needs to be doing. Look, I said it on Twitter the other day, and I'm going to say it again. If he really wants to show Florida he cares, he needs to grab $50 million of that money he's got in his coffers, and he needs to spit it back out and help the people of Florida with that. If he does that, then I will shut my mouth, because then I'll be like, all right, he did something good with that money. But no, he's gonna hang on to that money because he's a dick. But that's it. He's just gonna hang on to that dough, and he's not gonna do that.
I
He's
mean, the
not.
legislature gave him that $12 million to go ahead and deport people without them realizing that it's happening
Well, I
from,
mean,
from
they
other
knew that
states.
was going to happen. That money was set up for his little election fraud gazpacho, plus you know the whole immigration police thing that they have going on. I mean, they're trying to go for this. What was that thing that they were trying to? Sabatini's always been pushing it. The something, the easy
Sabatini is
visa.
pushing everything that's crazy.
Yeah, he was pushing this thing about like an easy visa thing, like where they have to check everybody that goes to work on these fields and all these crazy things. And it's like, you do realize that most of these field workers don't really come from here. Like, I don't think half of you white boys realize you don't want to work in the field. It really is not easy work. And usually you get people from Central Florida, like Central American countries, that will come do this work gladly, because you're actually paying them good money here versus what they would have to do down in their countries. So,
All right,
you
so
know.
so Ron, we want you to spend at least one day working a watermelon farm in on the east coast of Florida, or west coast of Florida rather, and see whether you can last before lunch.
Well, no, honestly, I would even say let's go a little further down to, like, where Carlos is from, Hialeah. Let's get some of those let's get him on one of those Hialeah farms out there, because the problem with climate change has been an issue over there. A lot of these farmers are now so what I encountered in my run for commissioner was that a lot of the southern Florida farmers are complaining because they're now having a smaller window for basically producing food because of climate change. Because of the fact is that the weather is so hot, it's scorching the fields, and they're not able to get enough water on these fields properly to really keep some of these crops alive. So they're having to basically keep the fields smaller. So you're getting smaller yields. That's going to start affecting people a lot more too, and that's just going to be the truth of the matter in certain regions of the world.
So that's going to be actually a bigger problem than solar panel fields frying birds.
Basically, I'm like, I don't mind having fried chicken flying at you. That's cool. We can deal with
Yeah,
that.
wait, what happened? They're making fried chicken here in Florida.
they have these giant fields of. If you look at it, there's one on I-10, right past the bend there, off of 75, and is this huge field of solar panels with reflectors, so they can get the most amount of sun in there. And the heat becomes so intense over these things that birds flying over it tend to get fried.
Oh shit. Oh.
So I think they should definitely have a side business of air fried chicken. I have an air fryer at home, so
Hey,
I
good
know how
stuff.
it works basically.
Well, the truth of the matter is solar panels are changing. There's newer technologies being made. There's actually cheaper ways to make them nowadays too, from what I've seen in the recent thing. I know before it was like a lot of money. Now it's like pennies on the dollar to make some of these panels, and they're not as reflective or damaging for the birds, because they're keeping in consideration their what their application is going to be on some of these buildings that they're trying to retrofit, because they're trying to change out the glass, but they're not trying to make it super expensive for some of these buildings. So some of these newer technologies look pretty cool and don't really look like you have anything on your glass. It's see-through and everything.
Now, for those people who are actually growing outdoors, as far as hemp is concerned, or hoop houses, have you heard of any major damage from the storm for those particular farmers?
You know what? I haven't checked out with any of the farmers down there, but I'm guessing there's a ton of damage down there. I know our farm over here in Claremont, the greenhouse did take a bit of a damage, so it needs to get bent back in place. But nothing as bad as I've seen some other places.
Yeah, but there were some grows on the West Coast that
Mm-hmm.
I'm almost.
I'm almost certain they're right now either underwater or just screwed. screwed up
And
somehow or another. Because I mean, I saw, if you figure most of these greenhouses are not made with strong materials, it's usually aluminum or stuff like that. So if they were in some sort of greenhouse or outdoor, they either got blown away or whatever. It's just
Yeah.
whatever's still on the ground is great. You might actually have some of these crops that have just hung in there, but they're probably all sitting sideways or something like that and just needs to be refixed or whatever. If not, it's been blown out of the way and you're gonna have to replant. So yeah, not going to be a good situation for a lot of people. Hopefully they had insurance. And some guys do, some guys don't. So it's going to be weird. I know the number that I heard on the news just the other day was that only 18% of the people that got hit were insured.
Yeah.
So
especially Lee County, that area there. They're
Yeah.
not Collier County. Let's put it that way.
that's gonna be really a tough issue for a lot of people because if no insurance, what are they going to get from FEMA and from all these organizations? It's not going to cover everything that they've lost.
Collier County is one of our southernmost counties next to Monroe, which goes off to the Keys. And I
Mhm.
understand the Causeway got a bit of a hit there too. But the Causeway to Sanibel is totally gone.
That 3 spots completely washed away.
But the Collier County folks, they have insurance. But the people over in Lee County, not so much. And Charlotte County, again, not so much. And plus, they built kind of strangely. They did. They took a lot of swampland, drained it, and made it into these estuaries essentially for people.
Yeah, with all these canals. Yeah, with all these canals and everything like that basically just overflowed. And that kind of sucks. So,
well, they wanted to make a Venice in Florida, but what they didn't realize is that in Italy, Venice does not get hurricanes.
And they knew that back then too. They knew that back then because somehow or another they have these measurements from that 1915 storm and all that. I don't think that area came about until the 1940s.
Yeah, essentially.
So, they basically knew that storms come through there. So somebody just taking a risk. Hey, I own this property. Let's do something with it. That's pretty much the story with most of Florida. And most of the rich people here too. That's been basically their thing. They've sold off a few orange groves or they sold off some swampland.
Yeah, it used to be that the big joke was, I want to sell you some swampland in Florida. And that was a big joke in the 50s because there was a lot of swampland in Florida. I mean, if you ever look at some of the old Tarzan movies, that's where they were filmed. Yep. They didn't actually go to Africa. They figured out, what the heck, we'll just do it right here in the swamps of Florida.
We have our own Africa here.
Well, guys, I think it's time to end the show and get ready for La Rotación.
Yes, so we have our potentially new lieutenant governor getting ready to come on, and there she is, fresh from church.
I think are we doing that as part of this show, or?
Well, we can do it part of this. So I mean, we'll just edit it and cut it in pieces and send off.
Yeah, we could do that.
You can.
We're looking for the best way to hand this off today, but so I get to go ahead and introduce Ryan.
So wait, let me change
and then
Spanish here.
He's been talking for like the last 15 minutes. For those people who don't know, that the guy on my right, your left, or something along those lines, Ryan Morales was a candidate for Commissioner of Agriculture, and like I said, got outspent by the other candidate who may or may not make it. But the fact is, he happens to be a fantastic audiologist. In other words, he knows how to his way around a soundboard, and so we asked him to step in here and get a chance to let our Hispanic audience meet Carla Hernandez Matz. And so let me do the handoff right here. And Ryan.
Gracias. No, anyway, let me be a good man.
For the rest of this class, we're only speaking in Spanish, okay, guys?
That's right, and I get to speak in Spanglish because that's what I do.
Only Spanish is allowed from now on.
Hola, Ryan. Hola, Carlos and Gary. It's awesome.
Hola, Carla.
And that's our cue to stop speaking English and get out of here.
Yeah, we're gonna step out.
Pues buenos días, ¿cómo le va, Carla?
Muy bien, gracias, Ryan. ¿Cómo estás? ¿Cómo te ha ido a ti?
A mí,
¿Qué
bien, bien,
cuentas?
bien. Pues ahí estuve, pues tú sabes, postulando para ser el comisionador, entonces no gané la primaria, entonces me fui a encontrar trabajo y ahora estoy del Marketing Director de Primary Medical Associates. So I went into medical marketing.
Wow.
But I'm here doing my thing because, por si acaso, siempre hablo
No,
de
mira,
marihuana y es algo médico que yo considero muy importante para nosotros. Y pues aquí queremos, ¿cómo se llama? Enseñar a la gente latino que ve el show de nosotros. Más de usted. Usted va la próxima vicegobernadora de Florida, algo que no creo que tú hubieras pensado hace 10 años o algo así que hubiera pasado esto, porque yo digo la misma cosa también. Si me hubieran dicho 10 años antes que yo iba a estar haciendo cosas así, no, yo me lo hubiera reído y ahí no, no lo hubiera creído, pero mira, ahora que corrí para ser casi el número 4 del estado de aquí de Florida y usted ahora para ser la número 2. So, mira para allá.
mira
So,
para eso. Ryan, primeramente, porque tú ya lo sabes que se requiere eh, mucho huevo, esto, ¿verdad? Para ponerse en frente de tanta gente, hablar de temas que son tan... Eso habla bastante de ti, de como persona, lo que tú quieres para el Estado, eso es extremadamente importante. Así que estoy segura que va a ver mucho más de ti que la gente va a conocer, porque siento segura que no vamos este no es el final de Ryan, que va a haber mucho más de ti. Pero la verdad es que es cierto, esto es el sueño americano. Mira, mis padres son inmigrantes y me crié en Hialeah, una ciudad bien hispana aquí en Miami-Dade. Y la verdad vino a este país. Él fue campesino, él tuvo que cortar caña, trabajó en los Everglades, trabajó bien duro, porque eso es lo único que él podía conseguir, que él había sido accountant en Honduras. Entonces, duro, un día alguien le dijo, mira, la industria de construcción está creciendo, entrar ahí, y él dijo, aquí no nos tratan bien, somos mal pagados. Claro que sí. Entró a la construcción, se hizo carpintero, se hizo sindicalista, entiende, y apoya el movimiento de la unión y cómo eso ayuda a la gente. Y empezó ahí donde yo aprendí lo importante de la unión, de comunidades, apoyar al trabajador, elevar la voz del trabajador en la unión de esa forma. Decidí ser maestra, soy maestra de educación especial, específicamente en la escuela intermediaria, y doy clases de ciencias también. Y durante ese tiempo, igual que tú, Ryan, en mi mente nunca me imaginé más. Alguien me dijo, mira, tú eres una líder, tú las para secretaria de la Unión. Me postulé, me hice presidenta, como presidenta de la Unión de Maestros. Es la unión de maestros más grande en el sur de Estados Unidos. O sea, el cuarto distrito más grande en todos los Estados Unidos. Y feliz abogando por el niño, por el trabajador, por la educación, y tratando de ayudar a todas las comunidades por la educación. Después vicegobernadora, te vamos a nominar. Wow, tampoco nunca lo, pero sí he trabajado con tantas organizaciones locales, todo, ¿verdad? La reforma a la violencia de armas, niños, cómo elevar el salario del trabajador, cómo necesitamos médico para los niños y para familias, tantos aspectos que la gente ni se diario de una presidenta de una unión de maestros. Y claro, así para que los republicanos y los demócratas entiendan cuáles son nuestro enfoque. Así que lista, muy orgullosa de ser latinoamericana. Así que felicidades, estamos celebrando el mes de la hispanidad y tú eres un hispano que está logrando bastante también.
Sí, gracias. Muy orgulloso de oír tu historia tan fascinante. Like, it is amazing. Really.
Thanks.
Para todos nosotros, es una historia de, digamos, los padres de nosotros vinieron aquí sin nada, vinieron aquí para hacer lo que tenían que hacer y mira, nosotros haciendo lo que tenemos que hacer por ellos para hacerlos, felices por lo que estamos haciendo y tratando de hacer.
Claro.
¿Cuáles son las cosas que te importan más a ti en ser vicegobernadora? ¿Qué tú crees que puedes ayudar a Charlie? Porque yo sé que él va a necesitar bastante ayuda.
Claro, mira, todo el estado necesita tanto ayuda. En una situación donde no nos han apoyado en tantas, primeramente tenemos que hablar de yo como mujer, tengo libertades a tomar decisiones propias sobre mi vida y mi cuerpo con mi familia, no con el gobierno intrometido tratando de decirnos cómo hacer. Somos personas de la misma clase en el sentido que no nos pueden ignorar personas porque somos personas. Así que esto es un tema que no tener excepción para violencia doméstica, para incest, son cosas que no se entiende que otra persona.
Es que uno lo que le tiene que explicar más a los hombres es que las mujeres no tienen que ser esclavas. Las mujeres no son esclavas a nadie. Las mujeres son mujeres y tienen que respetarlas. Uno respeta a las mujeres como uno respeta a su mamá. Y uno tiene que ser buen humano y tiene que respetar los derechos de todas las mujeres. Y nosotros todos tenemos que pelear por eso porque eso afecta a todo el mundo. Y eso es falta de respeto de esta gente y nosotros tenemos que seguir peleando por eso.
Así
Pero
es.
sí.
Así es una falta de respeto, quitar derechos que ya hemos tenido más de 50 años. Pero eso es lo que estamos viendo en el gobierno, de que las ideas que ellos tienen son bien regresivas, son opresivas. Lo que Ron DeSantis hizo y tenemos que también, claro, pensar ahorita por el huracán Ian. Es horrible lo que está pasando, lo que nos estamos dando, el tamaño, el nivel de destrucción que ha habido en esta parte de algo que es fulminante, que nosotros tenemos que no solamente preocuparnos, pero ver cómo podemos ayudarlos, dar alguna donación, pero estas son nuestras familias que nos van a ayudar.
Sí, y la cosa malo fue que escuché en las noticias que solamente habían 18% de la gente que tenían seguro, que eso va a ser el problema aquí bien grande porque eso le va a costar al seguro bastante dinero, número uno, y al fin del día los van a cobrar a nosotros más dinero por todo eso, por todos esos daños. ¿Cómo se puede arreglar eso? Yo sé que Charlie tiene eso en mente también porque esto va a ser un problema grande y ya tenemos el problema porque al momento Petronas no ha hecho nada, pero como digamos, comió mierda con esta gente del seguro porque no ha hecho nada. Lo único que les ha hecho es dejarlos que cobren a la gente más. ¿Cómo vamos a poder ayudar a la gente? Porque necesitamos todo seguro, pero esta gente están tomando ventaja de la gente así de cierta manera que no vale y es bien malo. Y con una situación así con el huracán que acabó de pasar y va a costar billones, no millones, pero billones para poder arreglar todo. Y eso que no vamos a poder arreglar todo. Hay cosas que vamos a tener que decir cómo lo vamos a hacer mejor porque ese puente que se desapareció en 3 pedazos, se desapareció de ese nivel. Eso no es bueno. Y esa gente de ahí, que viene ahí, ¿cómo van a transportarse al momento ahora hasta que arreglen eso? Hay mucha gente que no van a poder vivir en las casas de ellos por un momento hasta que se arregle todo eso. Esa gente van a tener que estar por ahí en hoteles y gastando dinero en cosas así, que esto va a afectar mucha gente por mucho tiempo y va a afectar negocio, va a afectar todas esas cosas. Me da mucho pesar por todo eso y sí hay que ayudar a la gente, hay que hacer donaciones. Yo sé que yo estoy haciendo cosas para tratar de ayudar a la gente también, para, como no estoy postulando al momento por posición, estoy tomando la ventaja de usar el ActBlue por una manera de colectar fondos para ayudar a la gente con el pago de los hoteles o lo que tengan que pagar, porque ellos todos necesitan ayuda. Esto va a ser duro. Uy, se le
Cierto.
cayó la cosita.
Sí, okay. Es cierto, Ryan, gracias por ayudar de esa forma. Nosotros sabemos que aunque nosotros no podemos decir o imaginar que va a caer, ya por muchos años hemos sabido que el problema con seguros es algo que ha estado impactando a muchas familias. Más de 12 años, la verdad. Veramente que la prima de los seguros no ha bajado y nadie ha hecho nada. Molestar a alguien o a otras personas, a unas y otras no. La legislación igual no han hecho nada por arreglar la situación.
No.
Cuando Charlie Crist fue gobernador de las otras compañías privadas para que así tuviera el mercado del seguro. Tenemos que hacer eso otra vez para que yo me imagino que tienes que conocer personas. Yo como CEO he visto que el seguro de la propiedad de nosotros de $17,000 a $64,000 este año. O sea, triplicado, más.
Wow.
Y estas son situaciones reales para las personas normales, ¿verdad? Que tienen casa, que ahora ese costo se le sume a lo que es un problema bien grande aquí.
No,
que
y
tiene que
para
arreglarse. Porque
sí, para mucha la gente también que ya son de edad, que están retirados, que tienen un set income, uno les sube ese precio a ellos, eso le duele a ellos muchos más también. A ellos es en verdad la gente que está molestando más y por eso es que estamos peleando, porque esa gente no puede resistir la inflación y cosas así. Hay muchos de ellos que se van a morir porque van a estar tomando la decisión de puedo comer hoy, o puedo pagar mis biles, o puedo tomarme medicinas. Estas cosas afectan muchas diferentes cosas, no solamente eso. Es ¿cómo se llama? Un efecto de dominó. El huracán
es cierto,
pasa.
es cierto, pero sabemos también que vivimos en una península, el ambiente y lo que está ocurriendo con el clima, que el clima también se está aumentando y que estos son más efectos que vamos a tener. Todo esto son consecuencias de acción, pero podemos hacer algo para resolver eso, no solamente la crisis, pero también la crisis de seguros que tenemos. Así que necesitamos un gobernador que quiera bajar las primas, pero también asegurar que las personas que no pueden ser seguras con compañías privadas, que tengan acceso a Citizens y la rota, porque después eso nos va a tocar a nosotros, ¿verdad? Otra vez el cíclico, y hay tantos aspectos así. Mira, algo que mencionar, y ojalá que la gente no lo tomen mal, pero mira, cuando Ron novato en el Congreso, él votó en contra de que se le dieran fondos de un huracán. Yo espero que el resto del país no se acuerde. Él fue no solamente negligente, pero de verdad que una persona que fue ego de más. Porque vamos a necesitar bastante ayuda aquí. Están estimando billones de dólares en daños a propiedad, a vida, a tanta gente en el suroeste de la Florida. Pero algo que estábamos hablando anterior, también sabemos que él nos está quitando, pero mucha de la mentalidad de él es tan regresiva, es tan Él no tiene ideas propias que son buenas, que son innovadoras, que son para ayudar. Él hizo algo hace unas cuantas semanas donde él puso en un avión y los mandó a Martha's Vineyard. Lo hizo
Sí.
con nuestro impuesto. Ese es dinero
Sí.
gastado, porque fue un truco político donde estaba utilizando personas vulnerables que están aquí como refugiados, buscando alivio, ¿verdad? Porque en el país de ellos y luchando por el
No,
sueño americano.
y
Pero
los
que
engañó a
él haga
ellos.
eso.
Y los engañó,
Sí.
los engañó con sueños de trabajo, con sueños de casa, con comida. Les dio un voucher de McDonald's de $10. Y lo peor es que son gente venezolana. Que lo que me
Sí.
choca más es que la gente venezolana aquí normalmente son conservative. Y eso no entiendo, porque esa gente viene de algo que ya es fascism y están tratando de entrarse otra vez a lo que es fascism acá, porque no sé si es lo que están acostumbrados, pero están esa gente no tienen que ver eso, que a esta gente no le importan. Ellos no le importan si eres venezolano, ¿no? Hasta no le importaba si eran cubanos. Y eso la
Así
gente cubana no entienden eso. A él no le importa. Si usted es latino, él no te quiere. Él lo único que quiere es un blanco, cristiano y male. Pero, fuera de eso.
Mira, cuando Janet Núñez, la vicegobernadora actual, cuando ella dijo de que pondrían a cubanos en buses y los iban a mandar y no aceptarlos aquí en la Florida, nos da a entender que es una cubana arrepentida, ¿verdad? Ella no está conectada a su tiende lo que es la lucha de estar en este país y que se nos den las oportunidades y a su familia. Y que ellos hagan esto, malgastar el dinero de nuestros impuestos, como un juego político. Pero lo que te iba a decir es que esto es basado en los 1960s, que se llamaban los Reverse Freedom Rights. Familias pobres afroamericanas las ponían en buses, eran gobernadores racistas que querían sacar a familias de estos estados, mandarlos hacia el norte. Y hacia este mismo truco, este mismo plan en los 1960 es lo que él está tratando de hacer. Igual que quitarle los derechos de nacimiento que él tiene, es anticuado, no tiene compasión, empatía, no entiende lo que son las necesidades del pueblo, de la comunidad de los floridinos. Así que hay tanto que uno puede decir, de que hay tanto que hay que arreglar.
Lo peor de la cosa es que ellos se nombran cristianos, pero al fin del día no están actuando como una persona que es verdad cristiano, porque ¿qué es lo que le enseñan a uno cuando uno es cristiano? Y yo en verdad no, yo ya paré de creer en religiones hace tiempo, pero yo entiendo todas las religiones porque yo estudié todas las religiones, porque mi mamá me pidió que aprendiera o que al menos persiguiera una religión. Y pues claro, yo estudié todo, pero yo sé bien lo que le enseñan a uno es amor, que amen a la gente.
A su vecino.
Sí, a los vecinos, que respete la gente, que hagan cosas así, y la gente que está pobre, que no tiene nada, que los ayuden. Y cómo me vienen a mí con estas cosas que, ay no, esta gente no, o no, cuando son contra los LGBTQ, que eso es tan feo, que esa gente si necesitan ayuda, denle ayuda, den el soporte, pero no los traten así como que
o expandir Medicaid, cosas que son
que
fácil. No tienen, no entender que la gente necesita ayuda y hay que ayudarlos, pero
como yo digo siempre, what would Jesus do? ¿Qué hiciera Jesús? En verdad es lo que ustedes están haciendo, no es lo que él va a hacer, y él verdad no quieren eso. Lo que le enseñan a uno es en peace. Yo no veo nada en paz lo que ustedes están haciendo. Lo que están haciendo es más odio y más contra y más fricción que no necesitamos. Y lo que uno quiere es solamente paz. So, en hablando en
Es cierto.
paz, la marihuana, ¿qué vamos a hacer
Da
aquí en
mucha
Florida
paz.
con eso? Pues claro, eso es lo que me deja a mí en paz. Pero sí, no, yo sé que Charlie me escuchó muchas veces hablar de la marihuana porque para mí es importante. Yo tuve un accidente bien grande en el 2007 que me dejó paralítico. Estuve así
Wow.
mal por 3 meses y el doctor que yo fui a ver, en vez de ponerme a tomar pepitas de opio, él me dijo, no, yo no te voy a dar nada, lo que quiero que hagas es que llames a tus amigos y que te den marihuana. Y yo, ok, no problem. Hice eso y comencé a caminar bien, todo me salió bien y después me mudé acá a Florida porque no podía montarme en el tren del subway porque me molestaba, pero yo desde ese tiempo he estado luchando por los rights de marihuana porque en verdad es importante. Muchos latinos han sufrido por esto porque han ido a cárcel a nosotros es la mayor razón porque por la razón que fue ilegal muy rápido y por eso es que le llaman marihuana por
Sí.
tratar de darle nombre malo, pero en verdad no es, es algo bueno, es algo que Dios puso aquí que ayuda y tiene muchas cosas que puede hacer que no son así solamente de consumir, pero de ropa, de, ropes, cosas así que todavía se usan. La importancia de la industria que se puede convertir de un sector así tan importante, pero aquí lo que nosotros estamos peleando es por la legalización completamente de marihuana aquí en Florida. ¿Y qué tú quieres decir en parte de eso?
Sí, no, mira, es un tema que es bien importante y bien complejo, ¿verdad? Porque en cómo esto impacta a personas. Mira, mi abuelita años, hace 2 años durante COVID. Al final de su estado de vida, dolor en el cuerpo. Pero yo quería que ella tuviera acceso para que no sintiera el dolor y estuviera más en paz. Yo, el uso de la marihuana en forma medicina, legalización, y eso es lo que estamos hablando. Mira, hay tanto delito menor, afortunadamente muchas de nuestras familias, ¿verdad? Nuestras comunidades, personas negras, también blancas, que han sido víctimas de tener un poquito de marihuana, un delito menor, y han sufrido el resto de su vida porque permanece en el record de ellos por siempre. Nosotros queremos eliminar, no solamente que creemos en la legalización de la marihuana, pero tenemos que quitar esos records de cosas, de infracciones que son porque han impactado a nuestras comunidades en formas exorbitantes de la forma que nos impactan. Así que sabemos que también que si nosotros legalizamos todo esto, también nos va en impuestos, dinero en impuestos que podemos utilizar para las comunidades sociales, para expandir la educación, darle los recursos necesarios hay tanto beneficio de poder hacer esto, y sabemos que las personas que no quieren esto, solo están ayudando a sus amigos, acceso a farms, les están ayudando, pero no a las personas normales, a las personas como tú y yo que tenemos tanto, que también queremos invertir en los negocios. Así que sabemos que las licencias tienen que ser más rápidas, que podemos usar el ingreso de estos impuestos para ayudar a tantos y servicios sociales que son importantísimas para todas las comunidades, y que esto de ser tabú, ya la gente entiende que esto es medicinal, que puede ser muy bueno para también por mucho tiempo ya ha afectado de una forma bien negativa a que son, que desafortunadamente están dentro del por infracciones que no deberían de existir.
No, como dijiste, mucha gente sufrió por eso y ya tenemos que parar eso. Ya es el punto de parar esas cosas porque es tiempo de ayudar a todo el mundo, no estar así siempre en contra y hacer, que esta gente tiene que estar pobre. No, no hay ninguna razón ¿cómo se llama? De hacer la gente sufrir así. ¿Por qué? Porque tienes que reach el quota o lo que sea de que tenés ahí de policía o lo que sea. Yo sé que eres una mujer ya muy importante y el tiempo le es muy limitado. Hay cosas que decir de Charlie. ¿Qué les puedes decir a la gente al momento? ¿Cuál razón tienen que votar por Charlie? Porque yo sé que yo voy a votar por Charlie y asegurarnos que sigamos con defendiendo la democracia aquí en Florida, porque eso es importante. Pero le voy a dejar a usted hacer el closing remarks de Charlie y la Chris campaign.
Sí, gracias, Ryan. Mira, la verdad es que Charlie ha sido ha hecho tantas cosas ya para nuestra comunidad, para el estado de la Florida, lo que es hacer este trabajo. Él tiene un corazón bien grande. Él ha estado a la legalización de la marihuana, pero también tantas para proteger a las personas que han sido impactadas. Por tanto tiempo, llamamos un gobernador que tenga innovación, que quiera apoyar a la gente, que crecer. Él quiere también, claro, hablar sobre lo que está pasando con el costo de vida del floridano, que mucha gente no puede vivir en las propiedades que ellos han estado viviendo. La educación, desde cuándo han habido tanto ataque al maestro. Están eliminando libros, piensen eso. Están oprimiendo sobre la historia que es real. Estas son características de personas cuasi dictadores. El gobernador Ron DeSantis es estado, no ha ayudado a personas de la comunidad, al pueblo. Necesitamos habilidad, el costo de la vivienda, de los seguros, el derecho de nosotros nos traten como humanos, que nosotros tengamos todos los derechos que ya se nos han dado, la libertad de enseñar y del niño que aplique los recursos necesarios a nuestras escuelas. Nosotros somos como Estado el número 4, cómo le pagan a los maestros. Imagínate, 48 de 50 estados. No hay esa inversión a nuestra comunidad. Así que hay tanto que luchar, hay tanto que ser mejor para toda la gente que nosotros conocemos, todos nuestros vecinos, nuestras comunidades, en la boleta. Si les importan los derechos de las mujeres, hay que votar Charlie Crist. El derecho de votar, porque acuérdate que en Jacksonville él quitó 2 sillas americanos porque no quiere que el afroamericano tenga ese poder. Acuérdense, mi gente, que cuando atacan a una persona, después vienen a atacar. Si quieren acceso al voto, hay que salir a votar. Si quieren que se aseguros de la asequibilidad, hay que salir a votar. Hay tanto que está pendiente como personas que están aquí luchando y emprendiendo tanto negocio y haciendo tanto para la comunidad. Tenemos que usar nuestra voz, pero votar y salir con toda la familia. Saber esos enfoques que son importantes para nuestra comunidad y salir a votar. Así que si quieren, nuestras plataformas es charliecrist.org. Ahí pueden ver todas nuestras plataformas Y también si quieren hacer alguna donación, también la aceptamos.
¿Cuál es el último día de, cómo se llama, registrarse para votar para esta elección? Yo creo que viene ahora en unos cuantos días, tú sabes.
Sí, yo creo, vienen unos cuantos días y yo organizaciones que están tratando de ver si hay una extensión, porque todo lo que pasa, claro que ha cambiado mucho el enfoque de muchas personas y queremos que más personas tengan. Así que vamos a ver lo que sucede ahí, pero sí hay grupos, grassroots, grupos que están tratando de extensión, pero ya el voto ausente, así que tienen que votar cuando reciban ese voto ausente, si ya se han registrado. Tenemos 6 semanas, así que mi gente, hay que salir a votar, recintos que están abiertos temprano para el voto temprano, y claro está que el último día para de noviembre. Así que mi gente, a salir en forma masiva, a salir al votante, al niño, a la educación, a los propietarios, a tantos temas que son tan importantes para nosotros. Así que muchas gracias por verme aquí. Ha sido un placerazo. Ojalá que me tengas.
Pues te veo pronto. Ojalá te veo por aquí cuando pases por acá. Estoy en Claremont, so I will see you soon. Muchas gracias por todo. Dile a Charlie que digo hello y un abrazo para todos. Y I will see you out on the trail. Thank you, Carla. Gracias. Have a good day.